Stay Ukrainian, my friends. Stay
Sponsored by Ukrainian Credit Union. Believe it or not, it's me, Ron Cahoot, with
Stay Ukrainian, my friends.
Stay Ukrainian, my friends.
It's Easter time, you know. It is. It's Easter.
Yeah.
Some people call it Pascha. Some people call it Easter, Velagdin. So, of course, it's Pisum Kadai, and with this being the Easter weekend, you're just about done your Pisum Kadai. Now, this is Cahoot Pisum Kadai. This is Hanya Cahoot, and we're related. And how we're related, let me get this now. Your grandfather and my father were first cousins.
Yes.
That's right. That's how we're related. So we're like fourth cousins, twice removed down the street, something like this.
Around
I don't know,
the corner.
whatever the hell
Yeah.
it is. It is. You currently make Pisum Kadai. I don't. These are the ones that I used to make. The newest one I've got here is probably 35 to 38 years old. I couldn't make them now. My eyes don't allow me, and my hand isn't steady anymore. And but let's. I'll give you a quick rundown on my history, and then we'll get into yours. Mine is in the days when I was making Pisum Kadai. This one here is 48 years old. I was 14 when I made it. It's not blown, and you can still hear the yolk in it. They didn't have the colors you have now. They certainly didn't have the kiskia that you have now. We had two kinds, and you used it or didn't. The electric ones were soldering iron. You needed two hands for it. It was terrible, and it was so hot, and you constantly burned yourself with it, so I never used it. They didn't have colored wax. Like now, if you're doing on black or on a dark color, you can use the white beeswax. Well, back in those days, you just went blind. And I used to experiment. I experimented with bleach on eggs. I experimented with muriatic acid back then. You weren't buying etched eggs or anything like that. And you know, this was the biggest treat was a goose egg. Certainly not an ostrich egg. I didn't even see them back then. And with the Iron Curtain still being up, there were no Pisum Kadai coming, you know, from Ukraine or. I was the guy in Toronto that I would make a couple of hundred over the course of peace, and then go to all the stores and they'd buy them. They used to pay $5 an egg. Would you sell an egg for $5?
No.
No. Well, that's what back then. Yes, you would have back then.
Oh, back then, yeah, sure.
You weren't born back then. And they used to buy them all, and then I just got to a point where I got too busy playing, because being a full-time musician, professional musician, I was playing during Lent, not for the Ukrainians, but you know, you're playing all the time,
yeah.
And it just got too hairy, and there started to be a great influx in stuff coming out, and now I notice that this has really become vogue. This isn't just a Ukrainian thing. This is Kuta Uma. The Asians come into Kuta Uma and they buy this stuff up, the dyes and the wax,
yeah.
And they buy the books that are in Ukrainian,
yeah.
not Mandarin Ukrainian,
yeah.
You know, and they look at the pictures and it's really become vogue. And
oh, yeah.
How long have you been doing it?
Since I was a wee little one in Sadochuk, so just about 25 years now.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
That kind of stuff. Yeah, I've been doing it basically my whole life.
How did you learn? Just by doing it?
Just by doing it. Like, how do you learn?
Yeah, the first ones are lousy.
It was like, it was the blob art, you kind of, and then you had a lot of flowers and bees.
But those first blob ones, hey, mom and tata, that's beautiful.
Well, and then you like drop them, so then they were broken, and as a child, you kind of like forget that they're real eggs. So they tended to be hard boiled when we were working on them then, which traditionally wouldn't be the way you do Pisum Kadai. But for the sake of keeping it kind of cleaner, then you had the hard-boiled eggs. Then you also had the big pot of water and the tinfoil covered tables, so we didn't light anything on fire either.
That's right. Hard-boiled eggs, I remember that. Yeah, I got to boil them first. Whoa, no.
Yeah.
Then mess them up too. Put a little bit of vinegar. I used to just soak the eggs in a little bit of warm water with a little bit of vinegar, just a little bit, to get anything that was on the egg off it. Do you use rubber gloves?
I do when I'm writing, just because usually I'm working for several hours at once, and it's the oils from your hand, and then once you get them on the egg, you can have issues with dyes properly taking to the shell and stuff, so you'll get little blobs and stuff. you know, another thing is you have to be careful when buying eggs that you're not using styrofoam containers, that you're buying eggs in styrofoam containers, because that also has an effect on the eggshell.
I didn't have to worry
causing
about
it.
that.
Well, yeah, they didn't.
My eggs came in wood.
Yeah.
You know, they came
or
like
you just
this.
went to the chicken and
Yeah, I went right to the chicken and just
inside
waited.
here.
Yeah.
Pop it out for me. and
Yeah.
stuff. But
And the colors that are available today, it's amazing.
there's
I mean,
all
look,
I don't
these are
even
the
use
colors
it,
I
yeah.
had. There's a little bit of green. Green was always a big problem for me.
Yeah.
But you know, and you'll notice that there's no blue. There's no blue.
Yeah, there's tons of, I mean, now there's different, I mean, before you also just had, as it started expanding with colors availability and stuff, you sort of had the one standard Pisum Kadai that people would buy and stuff, and now there's sort of been a lot more, a different variety, and
I call them the Hello Kitty colors.
no, but they're actually like Pisum Kadais, and like you said, even where you've got a lot more, you know, a lot more people that are not even Ukrainian that are doing these Pisum Kit. If you look online, websites or Facebook, you know, pages and stuff or groups and stuff, there's like a whole following, and a lot of these people aren't even Ukrainian. And obviously, there's different styles in terms of when you're doing stuff, like you've mentioned, you know, using bleach. There's one over here that I did with, you know, using the bleach method. There's a few here that I did actually, when you're talking about colored waxes and stuff, that obviously now with a lot of people using electric kistke, you get a darker dye, because before you'd get, you know, you use a candle, so if it was just pure beeswax, it would color the beeswax, the carbon from, you know, from the flame. When you're using an electric one, you don't have that. So they're usually, you know, you get ones that are colored like a darker color so that you can see it as you're going. These ones actually were, it's the wax on, I didn't take it off.
That's done with,
that's done with a mixture of beeswax mixed with crayons. And so this, you know, you're not going to be able to erase any kind of, if you decide to make little lines with pencil or something on there. So there's a few that I did like that. Like here's this nice one with today's soap that I did a few years ago, and you can, you know.
Oh, there's texture to it.
Yeah, it's texture because it's just on. Like here's another
And then do you
one.
bleach the, or no, you don't. You
No,
just
you don't, because you're doing it on a
So
white
you're basically
egg.
painting the egg.
You're painting the egg, except you're using a kistka, and I've used a mixture of beeswax with crayon. The only thing is with the crayon, then you got to plan it out so you're doing the lighter colors first, because then you have to really make sure you clean your kistka out when you progress to the next color. And if you were to start with like black first and then try and do the rest, or you know, I did do some black, but then you have to go make sure it's cleaned out and stuff afterwards.
Well, now you could be a specialist. You could do nothing but etched eggs. You can do.
Oh yeah, I mean, here's some ones that I use. I didn't use the acid. I just used straight vinegar on here, and it takes a little bit longer, but honestly, it doesn't take. I think you have more control with the vinegar.
Sure you do. And it's less dangerous.
And you don't have to, you know, make sure that you have all the windows open, you're well ventilated, and you don't have to worry about where you're going to store this acid.
Or not,
you know,
and that's how you end up like me. A little bit, inhaling a little bit too much muriatic acid.
There we go.
Yeah, it's none of that. No. None of that was around when I was doing this. And Baba taught me, my mother's mother showed me the principle behind making a pisanka. But you know, she used to boil onion skins to make a color, and then she'd boil blueberries to make a color, and then when she was done, she'd rub it with butter, and that would be her sheen on the egg, you know, and
well, but it's funny you mention that, because now there's a big, you know, everything's big resurgence of everything natural and stuff. And
what the hell difference does it make on a pisanka?
Well, exactly, but people are using, you know, like, especially if you want to do a muted, because you aren't going to get the strong, vibrant colors as you're going to get with these, you know, commercially produced dyes and stuff like that. But people are, you know, using natural dyes, and especially if they're doing different techniques with. You know, you could, well, etching, you're not going to do it, but if you're doing like the scratch sort of method, or if you're using something with, you know, you wrap the leaves on there to kind of give it that impression that you know, something like that, or even for krashenke. People are using, obviously, that.
Well, I can understand.
Because I mean, you can go buy non-toxic dyes that people do, and then they eat the eggs afterwards. Someone once suggested to me using Kool-Aid, and I did that, and it's all great. And I was actually, you know, Velikting morning, we're blessing our koshiki and stuff, and I'm like, I wonder what this tastes like, and I'm licking an egg, which I got in trouble for doing because it wasn't quite appropriate for outside the church. Apparently, I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
but it was kind of gross as well, because it tasted like I was licking.
Well, and then
an
you'd
egg.
peel the egg at the table, and then you'd touch the egg, and you'd have a Kool-Aid tasting egg.
No, you know what? It was sticky. That was the
sure.
problem with it.
Sugar.
But with it, no, but it was the ones, the little packets, you know, when you
Oh,
add
you
the
add the
3
sugar.
million cups of sugar and stuff. But it was just sticky from, from the actual Kool-Aid and stuff. So I don't suggest you do that. If you want to do Crush and Kid, do not use Kool-Aid packs.
Most people just
go
buy
the
it.
natural way,
Yeah.
beets,
Or they use
cabbage skin, onion skin,
or
all
food
kinds
coloring.
of, or food coloring. You can use that as well. Yeah. Or I mean, they do sell that are the natural kind of edible, I guess, dyes.
The ostrich egg.
Mm-hmm.
You had to make your dyes up in a banyak, I guess, for that, huh?
Yeah, I had them in a big bucket. One of the things was this is an emptied one.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. This is the only ostrich egg I've done. I've got another one at home that's also empty, but I haven't touched it yet to work on it. Thinking about what pattern you want to do, because when you're sitting down and working on this egg, you're spending
A lot of pattern, too.
well, a lot of pattern, but you're also spending a lot of time. Like this is probably about 25 hours of just writing time.
Do your next ostrich egg
Mm-hmm.
with the proportion being to a normal egg.
Actually, interesting
So it'd be
because
very, very...
I did this exact pattern. I think afterwards on they didn't bring it today, but on either a goose egg or it was just like an extra large chicken egg. And yeah, it was, I got it all in there, but yeah, it was much more condensed and stuff like that. And that was an interesting experience working.
It's funny because I go to Kuta Uma now and I look at the colors and
there's
Lord,
everything.
it's just, and I used to go to Arca and they used to have postcards.
Yeah.
With Pisum Kadai on the big ones, with the green background or the whatever background, and I'd have 60, 70 of those. And then it just got to the point where I just didn't use them anymore. After about 5 years of doing that,
Yeah.
I didn't use them. I just did what I was going to do,
Well, after a while, I mean, you start kind of you have your traditional symbols that you're using and stuff in the egg, so you're just sort of repeating, adjusting it, and kind of. I mean, if you look at any of the eggs, you've got the similarities there.
Sure.
It's the proportion, which colors you add, how you kind of put it together, and obviously there's lots of modern ones or different ones. There's one here that I have with a vinok. Did you see that one?
Yeah, I did see that one. That's a very pretty one.
Yeah. I mean, you can do all kinds of stuff. People have done, flowers, or they've done, logos or something, and people are getting into for weddings even as, the bomboniere at the beginning or something.
Well, my wife's daughter-in-law, Oksana Boris,
Yeah.
she etched an egg for every single person at their wedding, the bomboniere,
Yeah.
so everyone got an etched egg, and I sort of explained to her how I used to do it, and then she messed around with it a bit, and she came up with and did, and she's a doctor, she's got lots of time.
Well, one thing is the etched ones, you just do the kind of, you can do layering. Like some of them you see different colors and stuff, but yeah.
So you start using a brown egg,
you can do them on white eggs. I like using them on brown eggs.
because you get the two-tone.
Well, two-tone, but even you can get three tones. You just put it in for a bit, and then you put more wax on there, and then you put it in for a little bit longer, and then you can kind of get a different shade, depending on how dark the egg is. So like for the brown ones, I would try, when I was going to etch them, I was trying to look for the darkest, brown eggs, so that you can get a few layers of color on that.
Yeah, I used to combine combine the heck out of all these patterns and everything, and away you go. Wow, this is interesting. This is cool. The Kohout family makes Pisum Kadai, see? And we need another generation now to take over, because my kids, they don't. No.
Well,
They've tried it.
I'm still working on them.
It's
didn't get my quota done for this year that I was planning.
that's because you had a quota. That's because you had a plan. Don't make a plan.
But I did remember a few years ago I had the plan where you had asked me, and I said I'm going to make 3 dozen, and it was only like a few weeks before.
Yeah, and you
before
make them.
Easter, and I made them. And this year I didn't start I still started earlier than I would normally, even like that time. And it's just been, too many things going on, too many. Too many things I'm doing, and work. That pesky work interferes during the day, and
experimenting with triple cream brie cheese in your blue dye.
Exactly, like
see what
cheese,
that came out.
Everything takes time.
Well,
so.
it's been great, and this is one of the things that makes our high holidays of Easter so wonderful, is doing these and giving them as gifts.
Yeah.
Or putting a whole thing and putting them on. That's always intrigued me. Christmas decorations.
Yeah.
An Easter egg. Christmas
I'm going to
decorations.
start doing that.
Yeah, okay, next year?
Yeah.
You're going to make a plan?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
making
make a plan. You make a plan.
I'm going to start in June, July.
Okay.
August,
Well,
maybe.
like this egg here is sitting here and it says Stay Ukrainian, my friends, because that's the title. This is Staying Ukrainian.
Yeah.
Not so much anymore. Everyone's doing it, but you know what?
But it still is staying Ukrainian.
Sure it is.
Because I think you've got more people doing now, and
Right.
even I think there's been a resurgence more so in Ukraine even from before. Like you still had the small villages and stuff that were keeping up with it, but I think now it's sort of expanded a little bit more, and you've got more interest in it in general.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's quite the thing. And to those who are not Ukrainian that are doing these, they're staying Ukrainian because they're doing a Ukrainian thing.
Exactly.
A Pisum Ukrainian.
Exactly.
You know, and you start changing the, start putting petals and rose petals and Hello Kitty and Beavis and Butthead on the Pisum Kadai, and they start going that way. But this is Pisum Kadai.
Yeah.
This is Easter. Christos Voskres, Voistinu Voskres. Stay Ukrainian, my friends.
Stay Ukrainian, my friends. Stay
Sponsored by Ukrainian Credit Union. Believe it or not, it's me, Ron Cahoot, with Stay Ukrainian, my friends. Still needs an accordion.